I am Lauren Daniel, the Water Education Program Coordinator for the North Carolina Division of Water Resources, and I am joined today by my colleague Cam McNutt, who works with streams across the whole state. So Cam, can you give us a brief overview of what you do for DWR?
I am the Water Quality Assessment Coordinator, and basically what I do is look at lots of data and figure out which ones of these streams are not meeting water quality standards. In other words, they have some sort of a problem. And then later after that, my second job is to figure out how to fix the problem, and that's restoration planning. So two parts: find the problem, figure out how to fix it.
That's awesome. Great. So Cam, what I thought we would do here today was look at the North Carolina Stream Watch program and look at a few submissions. And I thought you could give us an overview of what you are looking for when you are determining the health of a stream. And once you get to the North Carolina Stream Watch dashboard, it'll look like this. And you can basically toggle on different types of base maps and look at I like to look at the satellite view. So let's zoom into a random part of the state here. So let's zoom into like Durham and Orange County. And Cam, I'm going to pull up my images here and let's flip through them. And when I get to an image that you notice some interesting parameters to, just chime in. Let's take a look. Here we are, and we're looking in Durham County on the ridge line of the Cape Fear River Basin and the Neuse River Basin. So here's an image. I'm definitely noticing some turbidity issues in this. Oh, and look at this, Cam.
Yes.
What's on here? What's this?
That is probably a sewer line crossing. Could be water, but it's probably a sewer line crossing. When they cross streams like that, they're required to put them in ductile iron, so when there's big flows, logs don't crack them and break them and leak sewer all over the place.
So there's a good chance it's probably wastewater flowing through that pipe.
Good chance, and that means you're also in a very urban area because you don't have wastewater pipes out in rural areas very often that cross streams. It's probably been there a while. They try to avoid crossing streams whenever possible. And one of the unique things about the geography that you're looking at here is that the streams that are in this part of basically Chatham, Orange, Durham County are draining through Triassic soils.
Oh, right.
And these soils are very thick clays, and they do not absorb water very well. So in some areas, they act like concrete when water hits them, especially if they don't have any topsoil on them. So you can see this murkiness is going to happen just about every time it rains in these highly urbanized areas. And if you look at where that pipe goes into the ground, you can see that little, where it's kind of dug out, that's probably from excessive flows. After it rains, this creek gets a lot more rain in it than it would in a natural setting.
Right. Wow, interesting. Just from that image right there. Let's see if we can find some other images here. Well, here we go. We have some more exposed sediment here.
Right. That's a stream that it may look like it's pretty natural. You can see the trees that are around it are pretty, they have a pretty good diameter, which means they've been there for a while. And you can see up the hill on the very back part of the photo, there's some mature trees. You don't see a lot of concrete around here, but what you do see are trees falling into the creek. Now, there's a couple of different reasons this happens. Probably that big wall that you're looking at right there, that's probably about 3 or 4 feet high, that is probably sediment that has stacked up over the last 100 to 150 years from agricultural practices that were not able to keep the soil on the fields. They would plow the fields, get a couple of heavy rains, and all the soil runs down into the valley where the creek is and basically covers it up. And then over the course of a period of time, the creek channel will cut back through there, but those banks are not very stable. And the only thing that holds them in place are the trees. So if you're still in an urbanized area and it have a good hard rain, all that water volume will undercut those banks and they'll collapse. If you look at the sandbar that's on the opposite side of those, that probably used to be part of that bank until it collapsed. And
Ah,
what it can cause this to do is a bank will collapse and it'll push the stream over. The stream will erode that sediment, and then that's what makes those creeks look brown downstream after rains, not necessarily from construction sites. So you have to kind of look at where the turbidity is coming from, if it's in-stream bank collapse or if it's running off of land disturbance like clear cutting of forestry or construction sites.
okay. So I'm hearing you say there's two key ways to create that murky water, and one
Mm-hmm.
is from downstream bank collapsing from too much water, and one is from land disturbance around that portion of the stream.
Right. So you can have two different ones, or you can have both at the same time. If you're in an urbanized area, you're probably getting a little bit of both. High volumes of stormwater runoff, undercutting the banks, and also runoff from construction sites, agriculture, what have you. Now, we do have a lot of ways to try to minimize how much runoff and turbidity come from land disturbance, but with our recent increase in these very intense rainfall events, sometimes those management practices get overwhelmed.
Right.
So they get more rain than they can handle and they overflow, and then all the mud runs into the creek.
This is a great close up of the stream, but as folks are taking pictures of their streams for the Stream Watch dashboard, we do like to see as much of the stream as possible. Looking upstream is what we'll frequently ask for, so we can see surrounding land use as well. Oh, and look at this, Cam. Do you notice these rocks stacked up on the side? What do you think of, is this human work here, or could this be natural?
That could be natural, but it could also be a little bit of human work. This creek actually looks like it's in not horrible shape. Also, what you find when you get a lot of rock like that, it could be remnants of an old mill dam, but you usually see a lot more up on the side. So that may be natural. I'm not sure physically where this one is, but one of the things you'll see here is there's lots of rock, and which is good.
Uh-huh.
And there's it's not turbid. You can see the water is running, and there's what we call the geomorphology. There's a lot of variability in it. So you got big rocks, small rocks. You don't see a lot of sediment stacked up, a lot of big piles of sand. And look at the stream banks on this one. Notice how they're a lot more gentle, and you can kind of walk down instead of having that 4-foot cliff. There's a little bit built up over there that might be natural as too.
Right.
But when you can kind of gently walk down into a stream, it probably means it's never had any of those bad sedimentation events or has been cut through in any way. So I'm not sure where this stream is, but this might look like something you might see in a park that has been preserved for a really long time. And it's also probably hasn't been rained on in a while.
Let's see here. Oh yeah, days since last rain for this image was over 3 days prior.
Can you
All
tell where it is?
yes. DT took this picture right here. So Eastern Alamance County, I'm sorry, Eastern Orange County. Let's zoom in and see what river that was. Let's see if this layer will tell us the name. New Hope Creek. Yeah.
New Hope Creek. That used to flow into the New Hope River, which is now Jordan Reservoir.
Oh, I see. Following it over here. Sure enough. It does. It right. Yeah. Flows right there into Jordan.
And right where you're pointing, where the reservoir is, those used to be some really steep rapids that people would canoe and kayak on. Now it's for fishing boats and water skiers.
I
So
see.
that's what happens when you dam a river.
Well, so it might be cool to have a few more images on our dashboard from around this area, because that is really great that Aditi shared this image, and it does look, it does seem to receive Cam's seal of approval for how healthy it looks. So great job. Thanks, Aditi, for doing that. And Cam, thanks so much. So as we wrap things up here, do you have any last minute ideas or suggestions for students or educators across our state who want to create projects to help their streams and their communities?
The easiest ones to do are ones where you're working with local neighbors to try to reduce how much water volume runs off of their properties into the streets and then into the creeks. Because as we just talked about, it causes damage in a couple of different ways. And, you know, rain barrels, rain gardens, it's hard to get down into a creek bed and do a stream restoration. You need heavy equipment and a lot of know-how and design, but putting in rain barrels and rain gardens to keep the rain on people's property is pretty easy and a productive project. And if you do enough of it, you'll probably be able to measure that reduction and report that to me, if you would, please.
Great segue into what is to come. Cam and I are looking forward to providing you with guidance on how to measure the effectiveness of these rain gardens and rain barrel projects that you launch on your campus. So stay tuned. We'll be offering that in the future. Cam, thanks so much for offering your time and expertise in this video. Hope to do it again soon.
Yeah, talk to you soon.
Thanks, Cam.